Coming up on Being Rad.
To me, ready for anything is like being ready for anything for life. Do you think the guy that you met that weekend is the guy that you see online?
You're not going to talk online the same way as you would to your grandma.
Then they feel all guilty, then they're very reactive, then they're up and down.
Hello and welcome to Being Rad with me, Robert Alexander Duran. Today I have Mr. Ready for Anything, Kristian Hill, with me. This man has the physical endurance of some sort of animal. He has taken part in the Keltman recently, which is like Ironman on steroids up in Scotland. And I don't know what else to say, except he's absolutely insane when it comes to physical abilities and helping other people to get to that kind of stage as well. Kristian, have I nailed that introduction? Welcome.
Yeah, mate, thank you very much. You've absolutely done me, man. Love it. Thanks very much for having me on, Robert. Like, it means a lot. I've done a lot of podcast appearances, but I love coming on and chatting to different people. And obviously, we met and connected through being in Spain when you came along to the mentorship, the elite weekend, which was fantastic, man. It was a really, really good weekend. So it's amazing to now reconnect, but on a podcast. So thanks very much for having us on, mate.
Absolute pleasure. So, first of all, tell me about Ready for Anything. What do you do with clients and what does it mean to you to be ready for anything?
So for me, being ready for anything is like a lot of people, like they see the stuff from the outside, the Keltman, as you mentioned, there, all these other things and these big accolades and achievements. But to me, ready for anything is like being ready for anything for life, having a level of confidence and conviction in yourself that allows you to show up and be the best in every single dimension so that you can show up. You can be a better leader in your career. You can do the things you never thought you'd be able to do. You can step up and you can lead from the front when it comes to being a partner, being a parent. And you can actually go away and do some cool stuff as well, but not just do these things and do them once. Have that year round. And one of the biggest things that we talk a lot about within the program as well is about becoming a person that's like very, very proactive and not reactive, because I think the world is full of a lot of very, very emotionally reactive people now that actually limits them in so many different parts of their life. So they're up and down like a yo-yo, and that's what being ready for anything's all about. It's something that when I started the program, it came a lot from like the aspirations of what I've always wanted to do in my life and the person that I've became. And I want to help more people achieve that. I want to help more people not just get in good shape, but the reason why a lot of people, I believe, struggle to look after, show up for their health and commit to that and stay in that is because of the ups and downs in life and because of how reactive they are to situations. And that's in my opinion. And one of the big things we go hard on is we want to make personal responsibility cool again. Because I think in the world that we live in now, a lot of people are very much so like they're looking for so many other reasons as to why things are not going their way. And conversation I actually had with a client the other day, they said to me about like things that they were like, I was like, what's been going on? What you struggle with? And there's a lot of things that have kind of been happening. I was like, well, tell me what's been happening. They were like, well, do you want to know the things that are out with my control or in my control? And I said, nothing's out with your control. Nothing. Like how you choose to react to it's completely in your control. And that's the biggest thing that so many people always struggle with. And it's like, the more people realize that like, that is like the fucking secret. Like if you can just be someone that's like, right, who do I need to be right now? That to me is what being ready for anything is all about, because like you then become ready for any situation, whether that be challenge personally, bereavement in your life, it could be, there's so many different things. You're able to become that person that's like, right, I want to try and be the calmest person in the room when everyone else is having an absolute meltdown. You're allowed to be emotional, of course you are, but not just, always up and down like a yo-yo, always in control, always on top of things, and that allows you to have stability within your health as well, so you're not out of control in a lot of other areas. That to me is like probably like more so in the past few months, Robert, I've really began to realize that's what being ready for anything is all about. That's a very long-winded answer.
It's a great answer though, very comprehensive.
And
I was going to try and trick you a little bit and say, what are you not ready for? But from what you've said there, what you're doing is, like said, allowing yourself to be ready for anything from like an emotional standpoint, from a mental standpoint, instead of like, if there's a financial crisis, we can't control what's going on in the financial markets, but we can control how we react to it.
Yeah.
So you have got control and can be ready for anything.
Yeah.
I
100%.
heard a little while ago, there's only 3 things that you have full control over at any one point. However, having control of those things makes you bulletproof. And that is your perceptions, your actions, and your decisions. And if you can control those 3 things without being up and down like a yo-yo and being reactive, you can take on anything.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
I would totally agree with that. And that's where I think the full philosophy of what we're doing is going. And of course, like, that is the thing. It's like, and we are big on, like, obviously physical transformation. We want to help folk do that. But we don't put it on a pedestal, in the sense that, like, because when you put that on a pedestal, you end up becoming even more reactive, because you're not in control of your actions, you're not in control of the decisions, you're letting something else dictate them. And then you end up being, again, like, you become a lot more up and down. But that is the point as well, is we want to help people. We have a 3-phase sort of part when someone comes into a program: prime, perform, and dominate. And the full point of this ascension is to help someone get to a point where they have complete control and autonomy over their health, their habits, their actions, their decisions, so that they can then climb the ladder and they go through, essentially, then they go into perform, where they do something to take on a challenge. And then so that they can get to a point of readiness where they do have a physique that is only forever getting stronger, better, and more aesthetic. They do have a level of leanness that they're able to navigate year round because of how in control they are. That is the dream spot that I want people to get to. There's not a final destination dream spot. The dream spot is like where you have the control and the reins, which one of the things I'm encouraging all to my clients, that we are big. Like, I have a lot of unpredictability. I've got a lot of moving parts of my business. I also enjoy a very active social life as well, in the sense that, like, I'm not overbooked socially, but I still like letting my hair down. I still enjoy having a drink. I still enjoy eating out frequently. I'm not trying to teach folk to do this in a way that's like benign to normal day-to-day life. I'm trying to teach, we're working with folk that are in a position of leadership, or they're an aspirational leader. That's who we work with, people that are everyday people, don't want to settle for average, don't want to go to that next level and really, really push to new levels. Everyday high achievers that we work with, that's who we work with. But these are also very normal people who have families, who have work commitments, that have normal daily pressures and stresses, that are maybe managing a team, they're managing clients. They're in a position where they're trying to climb a ladder, but they also go on holiday. They also, do you know what I mean, enjoy a weekend out. So we're trying to teach them to navigate that, so that they can be in the driver's seat there and in complete control as well. And so they can be a better leader, they can show up, they can have more confidence, a better physique, and they can do that. That's what our program's all about.
I love that phrase of everyday high achievers. I think you should start a band called that.
That's weird, man.
Have you heard the phrase of sell them what they want, give them what they need?
Yeah.
Have you heard that before?
Yeah, I've heard it. Yeah.
Would you say that that's what you're doing in your program? Because you sell the physical transformation because that's tangible. And then you're like, oh, by the way, we're going to bolster your mindset.
Yeah.
Because mindset's incredibly hard to sell, because it's not, it's ethereal. It's like you can't put your finger on it. Is that kind of would you say that that's what you're doing there?
100%, mate. Like, you need to speak to the before state on social media on the front, and then once people are in, like, they come in and they're like, right, I want this thing that I can see. You're not tricking anyone. You're just speaking the language of the person, because as you said, Robert, if you speak to someone about some of these things, they're kind of like, that sounds amazing, but I just want this part. But they don't realize, in order to achieve that part and keep it and get the thing that they actually want, they don't actually realize how much they need to be part of a community of people. They don't realize how much they actually need to do the personal development work. They don't realize how much they need to actually sit and actually look and actually ask themselves better quality questions, how they actually need to be more articulated in all parts of their life that they're currently skimming. We do all these things once they come in, but if we just sat and told them the things, they would be just numbed by it. But it's not until they're actually living and breathing that, they're going to be like, whoa, this is actually changing my life. Do you know what I mean? And we do all the things that we do, like, but they think the thing that they need is the tip of the iceberg. They think that they just need a plan. They think that they just need, do you know what I mean, like, some calories. You can get all that stuff fucking for free. Do you know what I mean? Go and get all that stuff right now. You can go on ChatGPT and type in, like, I am this way, I do this job, I have this much experience. Can you give me a tailored nutrition plan for these days with these nutrition requirements? And they will do it better than what most coaches will. But the part that you're always going to run into is your own worst enemy, and it's the bit where you are being flaky, reactive, you're feeling guilty, you're consumed by shame because you've done the same thing again over and over. No fucking software can fix that. Do you know what I mean? It's people don't realize the bit that actually is holding them back is themselves, and the bit that they need to actually go through is those like periods of intervention with a coach, with support, with people around them. I think the best way to explain like community at its best, and this is like something I heard a while ago about culture, is I know that you're a musician, Rob. I know that you love music. I know that that's your sort of background as well. See the feeling of being in a crowd, right? Being in a crowd where there's like a band playing and like everyone's singing the same song, everyone's in harmony, everyone's just loving it. There's energy in the room. That's the definition of what culture is, right? That if you can create that same culture within a community of people that are all chasing the same North Star, they all want to be ready for anything, that all have the same background, the same struggles, the same needs, that then also creates culture. Just the same feeling that you feel in there, you get that same feeling when you're surrounded by other people. And a lot of people you can't tell someone that. Like, that's not, they don't know that's what they actually, they fucking really need that. Then they don't even think that, they think that they need calories, but they actually don't realize that, shit, I feel so heard right now. You're actually meeting all of their basic human emotional needs by actually providing them with all these things. They don't realize how much they actually need because they think the problem is this thing that actually happens later down the line. But the actual problem is the way that they react to situations. It's the bit 10 steps before that they keep making the fucking same fuck up with, but you need to go back and rewire and hardwire the way that which they think. And I'm not trying to make it all airy-fairy, wishy-washy. But at the end of the day, the mind controls the actions. And if you're not changing the way in which you think, you react, you do, you are never going to change. Simple.
So what you've kind of described there is creating a collective consciousness and then elevating that consciousness altogether, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then by doing that, you change how people think. If you can change how people think, you can change how people act.
Yeah, 100%.
That's fair to say, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's it.
With the whole mindset stuff and personal development, how did you get into that? What was the catalyst to you going on this journey for yourself?
So for me, mate, it was a big thing that really changed my life, and we were speaking about this before, was podcasts. Like, I remember like the first time I ever really started listening to podcasts was probably like 2018. And I'd obviously like, they had always been a thing, but they were never like the way in which they are right now. Like them, obviously we're on one right now doing this. But I remember I just started like, there was people that like, I didn't really even understand what their offers were. I was following a few people that I was fascinated by their content. I just thought they were putting out loads of short form content, loads of things that was just blowing my mind in regards to stuff now that to me is very basic. But obviously I was just like, whoa, like I've never looked at this. And I was just, it really, I would say, changed my life. And then I started like, people in particular I really liked, I'd be like, my God, they've got a podcast. I can go and actually listen to them for even longer. And then like, I'm someone that doesn't need a lot of, I don't know if you've read the Surrounded by Idiots and it talks about different personality types. I've got a red personality, which basically means I just do. I don't need a lot of instruction. I just do things. Like you could probably give me a workout written on a potato, Robert, and go and do that for the next 8 weeks. But the fact that someone told me and someone gave me it, I would go and do it. I might not do it amazingly. I might need critique and but I would do it relentlessly, right? And for me, like I would listen to these podcasts, which I was like, why is everyone not listening to these? Like I was like you can actually learn so much, and I'm telling folk, and folk are like, nah, man, I'm not really that into it. So I'm then like implementing all this stuff that's like free, and I'm like, this is fucking changing my life. And then I was just
who are we talking about here? Whose podcasts?
So one that I absolutely
made that change
to start off with was Jamie Alderton. So I was just fascinated by Jamie Alderton, and more so in recent years, definitely Alex Hormozy. Obviously massive in the industry right now. That's fast forward to right now. But ones I listened to initially was like Jamie Alderton's Mind Pump. What other ones did I listen to? I can't even remember, mate. There was just like ones that I was going on to for like PT business ones and different things. But I remember like James Smith when he started doing his, and I'm just like, they are giving out so much information that I just couldn't believe, because I was never really, I would only say I really got into YouTube like recently, like only didn't really,
Yeah.
I was never massively into like the sort of longer form video, more longer form audio. Now I love YouTube. It's all I really watch. I'm just on there all the time. I just watch YouTube in the evening. I'm watching things about mega structures and documentaries and history and business. Like I like consuming like really interesting, I like quite intellectual stuff. Like I like just consuming information like that. That's probably unnecessary to what I even want, but something I heard a while ago about like business. It was a podcast on Colin Campbell's podcast, and a guy that was basically, he was a leading businessman in the UK. I can't remember what field he worked in. He said, if you want to get good at business, stop consuming business books and start being more philosophical with the content that you consume. And I was like, I get that. He was like, business is a made up thing of everything else, and it's an understanding of people, how they think, the world, culture. He's like, so go and just learn about other things and you will become more aware. Obviously, I still consume business content and stuff, right? Strategies are part of mentorships and stuff, right? But the thing I'm trying to get at is like, that totally spoke to me. So now I just like consume a lot of information, and whatever's like kind of like, I'm not interested in it. It teaches me a lot. Do you know what I mean? Like, I like doing that. Plus, I find it really, really interesting as well. But yeah, like I remember just going away. So for me, like when I started, like I remember in lockdown 2019, before it happened, that I started working with a mentor, and they were like, right, start just doing live videos into your clients and stuff. And I was like, holy shit, man, I can actually pre-record things and tell them things that I'm talking about, because I was always, when I was a face-to-face coach, I was always having deep conversations with folk and stuff, and I was like, alongside coaching them and helping them with certain areas, like I was talking to them about like, do you know what I mean, the way that they think, the way that they act, and I was like, here, I can actually do this stuff leveraged, and do that. And then like I joined another mentorship, and they were really big on it, and without even watching any of your trainings and just seeing how they actually done things, it actually fascinated me, like really, really fascinated me, that I could actually go and do that with my clients as well. Like I was like, I can go and do that as well. So I've been doing like some kind of, do you know what I mean, like delivering some kind of call to my clients for nearly 4 years now, probably more than 4 years, every week. I've done, and then I've been recording podcasts since 2020. So like to end of 2019, start of 2020, I've been doing some kind of like video call with clients every week, every single week without fail. And it's the thing that's like, I tell clients, I'm like, you can't work with me if you're not going to literally dial into the content we're delivering alongside what we're providing you with. It won't work. Like, you're not going to operate to the level we want you to operate to. It's actually stupid if you're not doing this. You know what I mean? So I'm so convicted in it, and it's not like I'm going on there and talking about like, I mean, like have you read The Secret and like literally good thoughts and all this stuff to you. Like, genuinely just talking about real stuff all the time, current things that folk are thinking, feeling, acting, beliefs that folk have. Do you know what I mean? Asking questions in a group environment, getting people sharing, thinking. And what that does, man, is it just makes folk realise that, number one, they're all on the same fucking journey as each other. They're not weirdos for having the thoughts and feelings that they're having. They feel very empowered by actually being able to share this in a space that actually gives them the space to speak, be heard, feel heard that they've not had. So, and then now, obviously, I've kind of moved into a lot more like doing public speaking and stuff. Like, I do a lot more of that stuff now, which I love. And I started a higher tier program within my program because I seen a space within there for clients who were in positions of leadership who needed maybe a little bit more different support. Do you know what I mean? Like, in a different dynamic to how to not only show up and be better within themselves, but be a better leader as well. So, yeah, man, like, I'm just enjoying it. I love speaking. It's good.
Judging by the length of that answer, I can see exactly what you're talking about.
Definitely.
I liked what you said there about how you're taking in all this information. I saw Grant Cardone get asked what is keeping him young, because he's almost 65 now, I believe, and like, you wouldn't know it.
Yeah.
And his response was that he stays curious. He's always trying to learn. And I think that is exactly what you've just described as well.
Yeah. Good.
Would you agree with that?
Compared to Grant Cardone.
A lot of people wouldn't like that comparison, but I definitely mean it in a as a compliment. I have a lot of respect for him.
Yeah, no, I think it's a compliment, man.
Are you ever going to release the calls that you've done for your private clients publicly? Because one of the videos of Alex Hormozy that has had the greatest effect, and I think about on a weekly basis at least, was his video on why I don't go home for the holidays, which initially was a private client video that he'd put inside his Facebook group, but it had such an effect in there that he was like, I'm going to release this out. Are you ever going to do anything like that?
I think for me, it's like, it depends on the context. Now, Alex Hormozy is like, his content is business to business. And because mine is business to consumer, and these are clients that are genuinely sharing stuff in there. I'm not saying it's like the Oprah Winfrey show, but that's a space for them, mate, that is their space. That like they are, that's like, I mean, it's special to them, that they can say whatever they need to say, do whatever they do, feel the way they want to feel. So I don't think it would, mate, for that front, just because like there is a lot of amazing content there. And then secondly, mate, the reason why Alex Hormozy is business to business is because he's helping more people make more money. A lot of people, when it comes to fitness, as we spoke about already, don't realise that the work they need to do is typically like asking themselves better questions. Not like, they don't know that until they get it, as we spoke about. So it would end up, this was amazing, this call. But because these people are not in it, they're not involved in it, and they're not bought into it, they wouldn't see, because they're like, why is that going to benefit? It's not making me more money. Whereas when you've got a personal brand like Alex Hormozy, and he says he's going to share a call from paying clients when his standard of content that's free for business to business is unreal, I think the context applied to that is different. But for me, it's like, I understand the logic, Robert, I honestly do. And I think people really would benefit from a few calls that have been shared, especially recently, a few of the ones that we've called, shared. But I do share, like, see trainings and stuff that I do. Like, we do buy monthly trainings and stuff, and I'll share them and stuff because they're amazing resources. But like the Monday calls that we run every single week, which are just based on like momentum, excitement, getting people like really, really ready, set up for the week, getting them thinking differently, typically, or where people are usually like maybe sharing a bit more personal stuff, talking about things. I'm asking a lot. They're very interactive. So it really comes down to that. I don't like, people would benefit, but at the same time, it's like, am I willing to compromise what that call actually is for the sake of, do you know what I mean, for what my clients love it for? So yeah, that's like probably my answer to that, mate.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah, because like that, why I don't go home for the holidays video was just Alex Hormozy talking to the camera. He put that in the Facebook group for his private clients, but it wasn't a call. It wasn't back and forth interactive kind of thing. Yeah. So yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
Can you talk to me a bit about finding that balance that you were talking about previously? Because when we met in Spain, you drank like a fish. How would you personally gauge how to do that in a healthy way? Because I still haven't drunk a drop since we met. Yeah. I'm now over a year and 8 months sober. And for me, moderation, just like, maybe I'll nail it at some point, but for now, sobriety is working very well.
Yeah.
How do you personally gauge moderation? Have you always just had that, or is it something that you've learned and been able to do as a process and learning about yourself in terms of not going too far or allowing yourself a certain amount of crazy time?
Yeah, I think it's like, for me, mate, like, it's something that like, it's been an entire year, like lifetime of learning, in the sense that I'm 29 now, I'm 30 this year. And I still don't think I get it right, in the sense that like, alcohol is a drug, isn't it, at the end of the day? And it's something that's been like accepted into society. And for me, like, I was someone, I used to take more drugs and stuff like that as well. I don't anymore. The only drug I have in my life is genuinely alcohol. That is the only thing that I have in my life. And I used to be someone that lived for the weekend. I've been deeply unhappy because of it. I've had it made me very, very anxious. I've had it made me like, it's genuinely been a thing that probably for most of my adult life that I struggled to really find what that was. And what I realised for me personally, especially when I became a coach, like, I was very ashamed of it. And I didn't realise it wasn't until I just embraced like what I was trying to do. But the key thing for me, mate, and what the big shift for me was, Robert, was I pick and choose my battles. I don't drink every weekend. Like, I might have a few weekends in a row where me and Ailey will go out for dinner. We love going out for food, and I might have 4 beers or something, and I just stop. But then every 2 or 3 months, I don't like the language blowout, because I don't feel like I need a blowout. I've given myself permission to understand that because I'm more consistent than I'm not, I can manage my health and regulate things in a way that I don't feel a big bag of shame as a result of that, because I pick and choose my battles. Whereas previously, when I did feel like that, it's because I couldn't not do it and it was in control of me. Whereas I feel like I'm now the person that's in control of it instead of feeling out of control with it. You know what I mean? Like, I had like between that time I seen you in Spain, like, how long ago was that?
That was in March.
I went back
End
to
of
Spain
March.
place and had a similar time when I was there. And then I had the weekend there for a lot of celebrations. And then I had a wedding one weekend. But that's probably like this year. You're probably talking like 5 or 6 occasions. And we're into like September where they've been like that. And even at that, mate, it's like, for most people, like, the bit that they don't see is like, even though I was out, it was a photo shoot on Friday, we were out for food and drinks, and we were out the next day, they didn't see that I was still up at 8 a.m. on the Saturday morning, and I had my wee plunge, and I still had a really fucking pretty good nutritious breakfast, and I'd got out that day and still done a big massive walk that day. They don't see that bit as well. They don't see how much, it's not saying that I'm counter-reacting, but I'm very conscious and intuitive about what I am doing. And you've seen as well when we were away that full time in Spain, not saying that justifies it. Still trained, didn't I? I still got up and ran.
I think that brings me to my next question of, if somebody was listening to this and they don't want to go sober like I have, and they want to be able to drink with reasonable regularity without it affecting their health, how would you guide them to building the self-discipline required to get up at 8 in the morning when you're on holiday in Spain after a heavy night and go and train?
It really comes down to what kind of life you try to live, mate. And it's something I ask my clients, like when they're going through a transformation journey. The reason why most people end up fucking up during let's talk about physique transformation, the initial part where someone's trying to get themselves to the spot of being in fantastic shape. The reason why they can never get there and stay there is because they usually do it on someone else's terms, or the terms of a result that they don't actually want, and they end up trying to live like a bodybuilder. And you know what, mate? That's fantastic for getting into a spot. They're doing the whole fasted cardio, they're doing their Stairmaster cardio, they're tracking their fats and carbohydrates. But the thing that I ask people is like, what are we trying to achieve here? What is this spot we're trying to get you to so that you can live in harmony there and stay there? Tell me what that looks like. And most folk don't fucking know, Robert. They don't know. And that's the problem. They're trying to chase this like ideology of what they don't know what it actually is. And then I ask them what type of journey it is that they're trying to achieve to get to there. Like, what does this look like? What are they willing to compromise? What are they willing to not compromise? What's important to them? What's not important to them? What are the things that they're actually realising that actually don't bring a lot of value to their life and do bring a lot of value to their life? For example, me and Ailey I got into a pretty good condition there, if I don't mind myself saying so, over an 8-week period off the back end of the Kelvin. And in that time, we went to a wedding where I drank pretty freely and ate pretty freely during that. I didn't worry about my calories that day, afternoon, and evening at the wedding. We also had 2 other occasions where I had a funeral where I drank a bit more than I planned. But the thing I'm trying to get at here is like, would I have been a little bit leaner if I didn't do those things? Yes. Was I willing to sacrifice those 3 occasions over an 8-week period? No, I wasn't. Could I have not went out for dinner? I went out for food or dinner at least 3 times a week, every single week over the full course. Could I have been dropped a little bit more body fat? Yes. But when I went out, the decisions that I make still keep me on track. Yeah, were they slightly higher than what they were? And the thing I'm trying to teach people is like, what are the terms and conditions of what are you trying to achieve here? I've got a client right now that said to me the other week, I was like, right, so they want to do a photo shoot. And I was like, right, what type of photo shoot are we talking here? Are we talking you're going to go bogs to the wall? I'm going to get shredded out my nut. I'm going to actually really sacrifice a lot to get to here because this is my second time around doing this and I want to go to a new level? Or is this, I just want to get in a really, really good condition that I've been to before because I've got this coming up, this coming up, and this coming up. And it's communication, Robert. What is it you are trying to achieve? What do you want? And that's what most folk don't do. They're not actually setting the intentions and the terms and conditions of what they are trying to achieve. They're just like, I want to get in good shape. No one's even saying, what does that mean? What does that look like? What you know? They're just saying, I want to get in good shape. Then all of a sudden they've got this fucking plan that's like overwhelming them. That's like, how the fuck am I going to do this? This is fantastic. But what happens when this happens? And then they feel all guilty. Then they're very reactive. Then they're up and down. Do you know what I mean? And it's like...
And it kind of comes down to clarity and commitment.
Yeah.
And then sustainability.
Exactly, mate. And the thing is, it's like, would we churn out more client results if I went harder on, you need to do it this way? 100%. Would we get more clients flopping over the back end of it? 100% we would. Do I want to continue changing more lives and not just getting fucking physical results? Yes. And can you see how if we done the option that you're going to go with me, it's going to actually change your life and not just get you a result and a feeling? And it's
100%.
It's harder to coach, mate. That's why. Really hard to coach.
I did a 10-week program at the start of 2021, and that was very much, let's get a few people really good results. Everyone else is going to be totally overwhelmed. I was injured within 2 weeks and didn't even get to do the whole program properly.
Yeah.
And like, one of the people, well, the person doing the nutrition in the program was a chiropractor. One of the times I went to see her, she was booked up for that month with people from the program. So like, for those few people that were like in the kind of physical shape where they could get results, they got all the pictures that were great for the marketing for subsequent programs. But everyone else was having to see the chiropractor because they were injured.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's a sustainable way to run the business. You know,
Yeah.
So what you're doing sounds a lot more holistic and more well thought out. Like there's more longevity to what you're providing.
100%, mate. And that's the biggest thing that so many folk don't realise, that like, what are you trying to, like, if someone wants to just come and get a quick result, then Ready for Anything's not for them. Like, that's not the program for them. If we are helping folk change their lives, think differently, act differently, and be the person they want to be. So I mean, just change. We're helping people change who they are.
Well, it's not being ready for anything. It's being ready for a few weeks of hard work, that, isn't it? Whereas Ready for Anything, if you're truly ready for anything, that's a life-changing
It's the other way.
program.
100%.
Speaking of the content that you put out, what is your kind of strategy around that?
Yeah. So right now, like, we've got a few different things going on. Like, the past few weeks, mate, it's been a bit ad hoc in the sense that, like, I always post content every single day. But I would only really say in the last week I've started to think about strategy. That's for a few different reasons. One of them was we had some bereavements in our family, and there was just like a few things going on, and I wasn't that excited about my business and stuff. I was fulfilling my clients, I was doing what I need to do, but for about 2 weeks I just felt flat, mate. And it's only really been in the last like few days that I've probably since like last week I felt like a lot more to myself. So when it comes to my content, mate, I'm always just think it's always changing, isn't it? There's no real, see someone that says I do this, and I do this, and I do this, and I've leveraged this, and I've delegated this. The minute they do that, the algorithm's going to see that they're doing something that is like leveraged, and it's not going to play to unless you are Alex Hormozy, as we were talking about, because everyone he can do the same content, but the information he's given is so potent, he's got that reach on there. But like for me, it's like different strategies right now. Like I like a lot of, and the engagement on it, well, I say the engagement has been recently, but the engagement over the past week just dropped for some reason. And basically I like doing longer form content like this, then repurposing small parts of it, because I feel like that's where people can see my strengths. But at the same time, if that's not got a good hook and it's not got a proper engaging part at the front, it doesn't typically do that well. I also make a lot of my own content as well, in the sense that carousels, repurposing old videos using the Instagram tool and stuff sometimes, because I know that Instagram likes when things are edited on there and not edited there. Then I've also done the full thing where I've not done it in a while, where I've done the really high resolution highly edited, working with a videographer one-to-one. But I found that wasn't getting as much reach after doing that for about 6 months' time. So it's always evolving, always changing. I've got some stuff coming in the pipeline right now where one of the things that I'm really portraying right now, Robert, and we spoke about this actually at the event you were at as well, was like, I really want to show myself more. I'm a busy guy, and it's not, if someone's seen, I'm sitting with a busy guy, it's like I don't show up on social media. I'm on social media every day. I've got a lot of presence on there, but I want to just make sure that I'm really pushing my own personal brand as well as like the business, in the sense that like I am always there showing like the real me, in the sense that like how like I'm doing these things you introduced me as, like I'm someone that leads from the front, that's got high standards, but they also see that at the weekend there, 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I had a drink, more so heavier Friday, Saturday, but I had a couple of beers on Sunday. But I want people to see that part of me. So for me, it's like, I don't want it to be like unrealistic. The big thing I'm pushing right now, mate, is there's a lot of guys that are in my world that are doing the hybrid athlete, doing these cool things, but they're also like totally like, I don't drink, I do this, there's nothing wrong with that. I want to be the guy that's kind of like, here, I do these fucking pretty elite things and I'm quite good at them, but I also like having a good time and doing this. And I'm not saying these folk are not having a good time, but I want to be that guy that no one's really taking that space there. Like the guy that you kind of know me for, like that you've spoken with, that you've met before, we've met on like a one-to-one level, but then also the guy who sees social media. So my big push right there is, how can I keep pushing that brand that's going to attract more people like me? You know what I mean?
Everyday high achievers. I think you're going to have to start using that within your marketing.
Yeah, definitely.
It's funny that you say that, because several times throughout everything you've said, I've thought of James Smith, because he is quite like that. He hasn't been, from what I've seen, so much in the past few months, but I remember last year or so, he was on like the boat, like having a few beers. He's probably a good example, but then obviously you have to do it in your own way, which brings me to when we were at that event in March. A lot of you guys were talking about how to be authentic online. How do you feel you're doing at that? Because that's kind of what you're talking about anyway, isn't it?
Yeah.
How to be your authentic self.
I feel like
do you feel you're coming across online as your authentic self, or is there still that level of like, this is what I need to put out to the world, and there is a part of you that isn't being shown?
Well, I think you probably be the better person to answer it, because you're speaking to me right now. You see my social media, and you met me, you spent an entire weekend with me, with not really known me. Do you think the guy that you met that weekend is the guy that you see online?
Oh, flipping the script. I do, actually. But I also recognize, as I said at the event, that you have to understand that you have a camera persona.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to talk online the same way as you would to your grandma.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And I think a lot of people, they've been hammered with this idea of authenticity so much that they don't want that kind of duality. But it's a natural duality. You're not going to speak to everyone the same. And you're also not going to speak to your clients the same in a one-to-one setting, the same as you would online, because it wouldn't be interesting enough.
Exactly.
You have to understand that like there is a need for some charisma, and to be like a bit elevated in your energy, and to be exciting, like you said, to as part of the hook to get people interested. And then when you've got them in a one-on-one setting, you can talk to them more deeply on a calmer level, because you've already got their interest, you've got their attention. You know what I mean? All of that encompasses being authentic, though, doesn't it?
100%, mate. Like, and that's the part that like there's going to be like a version of you that's on Instagram Reels. This maybe like a version of me that's after two monsters. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's going to be like a heightened version of Kristian. Whereas the Kristian that a client might speak to one-to-one on a call when they're going through a hard time is going to be the empathetic listening Kristian that probably doesn't say very much until he listens. So like, it's like, and then like, there'll be the Kristian on a 9 o'clock on a Tuesday evening after a long day that's sitting down and having a talk whaley that's maybe not really saying much. Like, you're several different versions of yourself over the course of the day. But who I am on social media, to me, I personally think, as you said, like, it's me. Like, I'm not being anyone else. Like, I'm I genuinely love what I do, and like coaching is a big part of my identity in life, and what you see is what you get. Like I genuinely, like my full mentality is do what you said you were going to do, and like I do. Like I just, I, do
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like I get on with it, and I just go, yep, that's what I need to do.
I think the other thing there is that a lot of people putting out content doing it because they feel they should be doing certain things. And the bad word there is should.
Yeah,
Like people are trying to go viral with these reels. And like if they had an option of just putting out anything, that wouldn't even come into mind. But they've been told they should do it by some Instagram coach or whatever. And that's where there's that like cognitive dissonance where they're like, I don't feel authentic
yeah,
because they don't believe in what they're putting out.
100%.
Whereas with what I've seen of you, like you can tell that what you're saying you believe in. And if you can do that, no matter what the scenario, you're being authentic.
100%. And that's for me as well. Like when it comes to this, like, and I've been through that many a time where I've been that person as well that I feel like I'm saying things, but it's not me that's saying it. I'm saying what I think I should say rather than what I want to say. And I have been there, and I do believe that you have to go there in order to get to that point where you do know what you need to say. I mean, like what you want to say. You have to visit that place of being a bit unauthentic, being a bit unrelatable, being a bit disconnected in order to actually understand what being connected, authentic, and real actually is. Everyone's going
to 100%. And weirdly, I think you can relate that then to finding that balance in terms of drinking as well.
Exactly,
and
mate.
What works for you. You have to get to that point of living for the weekend and waking up not knowing what you've done the night before to realize you either need to find the balance that works like you have or totally knock it on the head like I have. But without getting to that point, you're still in that kind of grey area with a lack of clarity, like we were saying before.
And I think just to kind of add to that point, we were talking about alcohol, I genuinely do believe some people are probably better with it without it with their life because they have no regulation and they can't control it, and they don't actually like the person that they become with it, but they're addicted to it, and they don't know how to not have it as part of their life. I feel like it is. And I wouldn't even say that's a small amount of people, Robert. I would say that's a large amount of people. So I'm also not pure encouraging it because I don't want to be that person. It's like, here, by the way, you can do this. It's like, yeah, you can do this. But do you want to do that? Or do you actually want to knock it in the head because it's actually getting out of hand in your life and ruining a lot of your life?
Yeah, for me, it just ruined my productivity. I think it's insane, but incredible that you're able to go and train at 8 a.m. after a night on the lash. I've been going until I had COVID. I've been like going to the gym every day, 5 days a week. And yesterday was my first day back and it was a struggle. But I'm going to get back into that. I know I am. If I was drinking the morning after, it's just like, am I going to go to the gym? Probably not. And I recognize that in myself now. And looking after myself physically is more important than having that little buzz of having a few drinks. And then also I've got my issue of not having moderation as my strong point. So I get the buzz and then I'm too pissed to know what's going on anyway. So it was just totally unproductive to continue that habit. And I think with a lot of people, like you said, alcohol is so ingrained in our society that like it's accepted. And like people will give up on their dreams and what they actually want to do with their lives for the short-term buzz, I think is the best word, of a few drinks. Whereas if they actually got rid of that completely, I'm not saying that they need to either. I'm just saying what's worked for me. But if you knock it on the head, at least for an extended period of time, you actually realize what you're capable of in terms of looking after yourself physically, in terms of coming up with new business ideas, in terms of putting out better content. And like, for me, everything has just got a lot easier. It's not that life's great. It's not that being sober has made my life incredible. It's just not as hard as it used to be.
And who knows, mate? Like, obviously, I know what you said, like, you don't know what you're going to do in the future, but let's say, for example, you do in a year's time, you decide to slowly but surely over time, naturally drinking maybe comes back into your life. you're going to be a higher performing version of yourself with more robustness, more resilience. It doesn't mean that hangovers aren't going to affect you, but you're going to have more discipline than what you previously did, that then could lead to you actually having higher standards and finding a better balance because you feel that you actually have more control in your life. And a lot of folk lack trust, mate. They just lack trust with themselves. And as a result of that, when they don't feel a certain way, when they do feel a certain way, when they, do you know what I mean? They then just react to it. And it's about trying to find that bit in the middle, man,
Yeah.
which is, it really, really is.
100%. And that's the thing, you know, Tony Robbins says you get what you tolerate. Back then, my tolerance for losing days at a time due to hangovers was a lot higher. I wouldn't tolerate that of myself now. So if I ever was to go back to it, I 100% agree. I wouldn't let myself be in that situation again where I was when I gave up.
Yeah, exactly.
100%. Well, Kristian, this has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on. To wrap this up, can you tell anyone watching and listening at home how they can find you and how they can become ready for anything?
So you can find me on Instagram. It's KDH, Kilo Delta Hotel, full stop, ready for anything. I'm on Facebook as well, just Kristian Hill, Kristian with a K. And then YouTube, I am the Kristian Hill. I've got a couple of videos on there now as well, spelled Kristian. And then I'm also on, I've got a podcast as well, the Ready for Anything podcast, so you can find it on there. So I'm pretty much available. I've got a LinkedIn, but I don't really use it as well. I'm pretty much available on most sources of social media, so you can find me on there. And if obviously you are interested in becoming ready for anything, it's pretty easy to inquire. You can head on to my Instagram or my website. You can find that all on there. Dead easy to find. But yeah, I'm pretty straightforward. I'm a pretty reachable guy. I've just realised that from the amount of sources I've just handed out right there to get in touch with me. So yeah, but no, mate, it's been awesome to have you on. Thank you very much. It's been a great chat, and I hope you took a lot away from it, and I hope everyone listening took a lot away from it as well.
And is it readyforanything.com?
It's actually changed the website domain. It's coachbykdh.com. But I'm sure if you typed in Kristian Hill ready for anything online, it would come up. I need to change the domain. I changed over the brand at the start of the year. It's one thing I've not actually done. I need to put that on my to-do list to do it.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Kristian. Like I said, absolute pleasure. And if you're watching and listening at home, keep being rad.